Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is the astrology of Travis Magus. He's a YouTuber with somewhere around 20,000 subscribers at the time, so relatively small. I am doing his chart because I want to partially advertise for him. He does some work with astrology, tarot, and does a lot of great book studies. He's currently reading Dion Fortune's Cosmic Fortune, and really appreciate the book studies he's done in the past, especially when he was a smaller channel. And just for those that have recommended that I recommended some people to do the birth chart analysis for them, I am going to do them. These ones were here with like Travis Magus. It's just easier for me to do because I know more about him than some of these other people. It takes more time to uh, more time to look into. So here we go. This is Travis Magus. He is a Sagittarius rising, and I don't know that this is exactly the right chart because I don't have his birth time. I just know from listening to a lot of his lectures that I'm pretty sure he was a Sagittarius rising, and that everything else on the chart is correct within a few degrees. I think and I'll get into some of that here as well. So he's a sun in Gemini, moon in Gemini. And Sagittarius rising. So here we have with Neptune here on the ascendant, retrograde, and Jupiter ruling the ascendant in the ninth house, 10th house if we're looking at whole sign. So definitely when he started his YouTube channel, he was on to something because I do think he's a spiritual teacher of some sort. He's into all things spiritual, all kinds of magical practices. I think he started as like a big magical guy with his channel. And you definitely see that with Neptune in the first house on the ascendant and with Sagittarius rising. Very much a Neptune person. I think he said he was in the Navy, and we can definitely correlate Neptune with the Navy. What else? His channel is very Neptunian for sure. If you do check it out, it's not normal. It's out there. He has Uranus. Well, speaking of that, he has Uranus in the 12th house. So in his 12th house, he has that planet of being unique and different and out there in the 12th house of spirituality and things of that nature, behind the scenes. He's very much a behind the scenes guy, being a YouTuber. And speaking of YouTuber, let's look at that because that's really what I wanted to look at. Uranus in the 12th, spiritual teacher, spiritual YouTuber, 12th house spiritual, Uranus YouTuber. We see that Uranus is in the degree of that Neptune, almost within 1 degree, and it is making an exact sextile to Saturn and throw Mars in there as well. And if that is in the ninth house, I have Saturn in the ninth, and you can see that there's this opportunity for his work, his life's work there with Saturn, and maybe his tests in life and his what he's driven to do, teach there in the ninth. There's an opportunity there with that Uranus YouTuber signature. We also see there's an inconjunct, an exact inconjunct to the Sun, an inconjunct to the Moon and Venus. And if you did follow his channel, I think a lot of what he did wasn't easy, and he has read a lot of books on how to get the attention of other people, how to get how to bring value to people so that he can get paid, so he can continue to do what he does and grow his influence and maybe go a little bit deeper as he gets older, as his channel gets bigger, and he finds his audience. And we see that there with the Scorpio inconjunct between that Uranus in the 12th and the 3 planets there in the 7th of other people, the house of other people. And he does all this in a Gemini way, for sure. He's all over the place. I mean, the guy can read books online for like 10 hours straight. And here I am, I'm doing like excerpts for like 10 minutes and then publishing it and then moving on for another 10 minutes, maybe a couple days later. So, very much a Gemini person here, total Gemini operation. See, Uranus is also making a square to that North Node in Leo. And the South Node is ruled by Uranus in Aquarius. So he's coming from this place of Aquarius, like it's almost like he's used to being a loner and doing all this research and studying, and now in this life he's bringing all of this creativity and all of this information, all of this Aquarian information to the forefront, center stage, and showing how it's actually not progressive information at all. It's common. It should be common knowledge. But of course, I mean, we know that it's not. It's not common knowledge. It probably never will be. But here in the Aquarian age coming up, it will become more part of our society. And there is, I wanted to see, well, he has Jupiter here on the North Node as well. A lot of mental energy with this guy, but the Jupiter North Node, so this guy was destined to be a teacher. You know, all his life experiences, you wouldn't think some of his experiences would lead to, you know, being a teacher or being like a traditional teacher. And here he is. It was, you can see, this was destiny in the making, especially in that Neptune on the ascendant. A lot of mental energy with this guy, with all these planets in Virgo, with Virgo on the MC and the 3 planets in the in Gemini in the 7th house, with Gemini on the 7th house cusp. His Mercury is in the 8th, so his Mercury is thinking. It's in the 8th house of mysteries, the occult, astrology, tarot, and it's in Scorpio Decan as well. And we can see here in the 3rd house cusp is Aquarius is on the 3rd house cusp, and the South Node is in the 3rd house. At least in this chart, could be different. It looks like it could be in the 2nd house. But either way, whole sign house, it's definitely in the 3rd. I think that Pluto would be in the 11th actually, which would move everything closer to the MC. I do think that Pluto's got to be in the 11th. So his soul is very much coming from a Aquarius place, with Pluto being in the Aquarian house. And definitely a good chart as well. It really lines up with Pluto. If Pluto is in that 11th, going from where he's coming from is the 11th and the South Node in the 3rd in Aquarius. All air houses, air signs, even Pluto and Libra. And then he's moving into the 5th, the Leo house, Aries, more fire, and then going into the 9th where he's headed, more Leo, fire, Sagittarius. So a very consistent chart. And the more I see this with consistency, I have a fairly consistent chart myself. When you see this consistency, you can get a person who has a lot of clarity. There's not very much not as much confusion in the life, because the life path is very consistent, as opposed to if say the Pluto was in the 11th and the south node was in the second. So Pluto would be squaring the squaring that south node. The south node would be in Taurus, and Taurus and Aquarius aren't the most compatible signs or houses, the second and the 11th. So that's what I mean by consistency. He's got that Mars Saturn as well in Virgo, so he's not afraid of the shadow, which he talks a lot about, that shadow work. Very much sees through the New Age movement. Extremely intelligent, and I think that's um, part of the genius is that Mars Saturn, with that Mars Saturn involved there, he's not afraid to go into the dark side. He probably considers himself a light worker, but he's not. He's he sees the benefit of both. He knows that they go together. They can't ever not exist one without the other. Nice Moon Venus conjunction, great personality. All this seventh house stuff, very relatable. Um, you can tell he enjoys his work. He enjoys bringing the message to people, talking to people online. It's not just something he does to make a living or to make more money. It's that Venus retrograde, so it's indicating there's something maybe that he's redoing, reviewing here. Also, that's a big time Uranus feature here with Venus retrograde. And of course, as I mentioned, it's making that quincunx to Uranus. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'll link some more some more videos that I may have mentioned, like the Mars Saturn conjunction, the North Node again, and maybe the Venus Moon conjunction down there in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and go check him out. His channel is Travis Magus, and I hope you have a great day.